Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Maddie here from Chill TCG. Again, another week, another Chill Series tournament. Chill Series 31 wrapped up this past Wednesday. It was a great one. It was a really good tournament. 308 players came out to play this week, so, huge shout out to everybody. It means a lot to me. 250 Battle Styles packs on the line, as well as a gold quick ball, which was given to the first place winner. If you guys played, again, thank you so much for coming out and playing. It means a lot to me. And if you're watching this just interested in the deck lists, again, just thank you so much. We recently just hit 3,500 subscribers as well, and that's really cool. So, all good things. Thank you guys so much. My cat's in the background. Anyway, we're going to get into it. Top 16 deck lists. Now, the format right now is really, really interesting. There's a lot of different decks that are actually very viable. If you guys hadn't had a chance to go watch the Grand Finals match, which I posted yesterday, there was one very interesting list that made it all the way to the finals. Of course, Koichi Kimura, fantastic player. His list was really cool, and if you guys haven't go checked out that finals match, I highly recommend that you guys go check it out. All right, so we're gonna get into it. I never really know how to pace these videos properly, so I apologize for that. But right off the gate at number 16, we have Razeel GT from, Guatemala. And he was playing Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX. Now, I've said for a while that the meta hasn't been super kind to Rapid Strike. But I do know that it is a really consistent, a really powerful, really great deck. So for that reason, I do understand we have 3 of them in top 16. And there's a reason for that, even though the meta has shifted to be a little bit less kind to it. But here it is. This is our 16th list here. Razeel, I believe his name was. It's kind of just basic ability Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX with, the Scoop Up Net Jirachi engine. All good things here. Almost everything in this list I totally agree with. And I think if you're going to be playing a straight Rapid Strike Urshifu deck list, this is exactly what you want, right? I think that the 4-3 Urshifu lineup is very standard. I think 4 Jirachis is really good. 2 Dedenne, 1 Crobat. Again, just plenty of consistency thrown in this list. And on top of that, we have 1 Zigzagoon, 1 Giratina. We have a Jirachi GX, which is going to eliminate our Psychic weakness, very much needed right now in this format. And then we have a Mew, actually, and a lot of lists aren't actually running Mew, but it is really good in the mirror matchup, so, that's something to keep in mind. The Giratina, removing special energy, so it's going to be really good, not only just against a variety of different decks, but it's going to be really good against Mewtwo, specifically, right, because they run, all special energies. And then we also have the Mimikyu there, which is just there, again, to kind of beat Mewtwo, right, and it's kind of like a lock. If they're not running the Stealthy Hood, then it's pretty much an auto-win scenario, right, with that card. So, this deck is definitely preparing for that matchup, although Mewtwo also prepares for lists like this, so that's kind of something to keep in mind here. But 4 Research, 3 Boss, 3 Marnie. Again, all good consistency cards. We have 4 Quick Ball, 4 Pokecom, 4 Scoop Up Nets, 4 Switch. So you got to just understand that this deck is really all about doing exactly what it wants to do as consistent as possible. And I think this list is very much, already figured out sort of, skeleton of Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX. And we see Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX thrown into so many different decks combined with so many different cards. But I think just straight Rapid Strike is a really good list. And if you're going to be playing Rapid Strike, I really suggest almost this exact 60. Of course, you can change a couple cards here and there. Tool Scrapper, for example, is one of them. Maybe you don't need a 4th comp. So, there's a couple liberties you can take, but this list is phenomenal. Big shout out to Razeel GT. His list is spot on. Next up, we have Milton Klun. I don't know, man. This dude is from Taiwan, and I have no idea how to say his name, but he was also playing Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX. So let's go and take a look at his list and see if we can find any differences. We cannot find any differences. It's the exact same deck. The cards are in different order, though. I don't know why that is. I think maybe that's just how Limitless works. I'm not sure, but the exact same 60, so like I said, this is very much the accepted Rapid Strike Urshifu list. I've made a few videos on it in the past. I do think that Jirachi is the best way to play Urshifu. It's the best consistency draw engine card that goes with Urshifu, and I do believe that. A lot of people have been playing Minccino engine. Octillery is, I guess, another one that people don't really play, but I guess you could. All of them dwarf in comparison, in my opinion, to the Scoop Up Net Jirachi engine. And it just makes a little bit more sense to me since, not only does the Scoop Up Net kind of work as a pivot, right, in a lot of ways, but Jirachi's also one of the best cards to search for trainer cards in the game, if not the best. So, it just makes a lot of sense. This pairing is very good. And here it is. Here it is. If you guys didn't already understand or know exactly what a really good Rapid Strike Urshifu list is, this is it right here. And, try it out sometime. It is really, really good. All right, shout out to Milton. Yeah, Milton. I don't know. Did I say that wrong before? I don't know. Next up at number 14, we have Demetrius Ayton. He's from Great Britain, I believe, unless that's, yeah, Great Britain. He was playing Psychic Mewtwo. Now, we only had 2 in top 16. One of them did make top 4. but this was the other one here. And we covered this list a few times in the past. I believe I did make a separate video on it. It is a phenomenal deck. Honestly, in my opinion, one of the best decks, most well-rounded decks in our format. And it's extremely good. I don't want to cover it too much in depth because there's so much going on here on the screen, but for those people who might not know, Mewtwo and Mew-GX is just the cornerstone of the deck. It's going to be the card that we use to copy all of the attacks from all of these different GX Pokemon that we have here. Things like, Incineroar GX, Giratina Garchomp, Reshiram Charizard, Vileplume GX, Gengar Mimikyu, Latios GX, Trevenant and Dust Noir GX, as well as that Solgaleo and Lunala GX, which is a card that I'm seeing more and more in Psychic Mewtwo, but a card that I don't necessarily know exactly why it's in there. I do get it because it's a 4 energy 230, right? It's very similar to Reshiram and Charizard in that respect, where the attacks are virtually the same, except it's 4 Psychic, or 3 Psychic and a colorless instead of 3 Fire and a colorless, and with, of course, 6, all of our energies in our deck pretty much potentially being able to be used as Psychic Energy, right, with the 4 Auroras, 4 Horror, and the 2 Psychics. It's a much more easy guaranteed 230 for 4 energies than it would be to get 4 energies on 4 Aurora energies on your Mewtwo and use the Reshiram and Charizard attack. So I believe that that's probably the reason why it's in there. And I think that the Reshiram and Charizard's in there mainly for the Outrage attack. So, I mean, it seems like a little bit overkill, but again, it just gives you that extra option, so maybe it is actually really, really good. But everything else in here is pretty normal. Tag Call Engine. I like the 1 Malilana, 1 Guzmahala, 2 Stealthy Hoods, and this is kind of what I was talking about right after we got done looking at Rapid Strike Urshifu. We saw that list was teching a lot for this list with the Tool Scrapper, with the Mimikyu, things like that. You can see how Mewtwo is kind of countering Rapid Strike Urshifu, where it is running the double Stealthy Hoods, the double Chaotic Swells, and Malilanas, things like that. So this deck is really much built to beat Rapid Strike Urshifu. That's exactly kind of what this deck was built for. But it actually has really good matchups against things like Luke Metal, ADP. It does struggle with E-Turn, so that's something to keep in mind. But can do very well against Welder lists as well. So a very good list. A very, very, very good deck. One of my favorite decks to play right now in the entire format. And if you guys want to go check out, a more detailed video explaining this list, I did make a video in the past. So there we go. Shout out to Demetrius. We might have to move a little bit quicker here. Next up, we have Kevin Abernathy from the U.S. He was playing Eternatus VMAX. We had 2 of these guys in top 16. Let's take a look at what their lists are looking like. Okay, so, in my opinion, I think most E-Turn lists are going to look pretty similar these days, especially in this format. There's not a lot of different things that a lot of people are doing. It's very much kind of the same deal. You'll see here, it is just Eternatus, but a couple things will stand out to you. One is that we are running Phoebe in the list. 2, we are running Tool Jammer in this list. And then on top of that, we're running double Power Plants. So this deck, those 3 different cards, are in here mainly for the Urshifu matchup, the Luke Metal matchup and the Mewtwo matchup, because those are 2 decks that are phenomenal decks in our format right now, but E-Turn seems to definitely have a good, matchup against. Now, I don't think that running 1 Phoebe means that you pretty much ever can beat Luke Metal, because we have no way in this deck to get it back, right? So we can go through 1 Zam, but as long as they bench 2 Zams and just don't overbench, and give you options in terms of taking prize cards, we're never going to actually be able to win, because once we go through 1 Zamazenta, we have to go through another one, and this deck just doesn't have what it takes in terms of, the techs for that matchup. So I think with Phoebe right now, if you're really teching Phoebe to beat Luke Metal, I think that you have to run double Phoebe, even though it doesn't seem that good. It's really the only way. Double Phoebe and Tool Jammer is really the only way to consistently beat Luke Metal, or somewhat have a chance to beat Luke Metal. But this is exactly what E-Turn looks like right now. I like the 2 Spiritomb, 2 Yveltal. I do think that, multiple Zigzagoons could be really good, especially with Victini being so good. Having 4 Zigzagoons available to you seems definitely very good in my opinion. But, that's just me. We're running Hammers, so that's just another thing in here. But everything else is kind of just normal Eternatus. It's a very good deck. I mean, E-Turn is phenomenal still. And again, you'll notice no weak guard energies, kind of just accepting your fate against Rapid Strike Urshifu. It's a deck that you're probably just not going to be able to beat, but, weakness guard energies probably aren't going to do too much for you. Rapid Strike Urshifu V definitely, or VMAX definitely just takes advantage of the fact that you're running 4 Crobat Vs in your deck, and you're probably going to bench all of them, right? That's kind of just how it comes down to. They run 3 or 4 boss in their deck, and they also have the ability to snipe the bench and kind of carry your Goon, Spiritomb, and Yveltal. So they can very easily just take 3 prize cards with the boss's orders. So, that's kind of the main struggle, and weak guard energy just doesn't really do much in the matchup, because they typically don't even go through E-Turns if they don't, if they have other options to do so. So yeah, here it is, Eternatus VMAX, Kevin Abernathy. Congrats, man. List is very good. Again, I don't think one Phoebe is enough to beat Luke Metal personally if they play it correctly, but I'm sure that list was obviously really good because you got top 16, you got 13th in the tournament. Next up, we have enosoycarly. I think that's how you say that. I don't know. He's from Peru. 12th. He was playing Luke Metal. And again, we did have 2 Luke Metals. So a very diverse, a very kind of even metagame spread out in this top 16, which is really fun to see. And right off the gate, this is a Luke Metal list that, was kind of popularized recently by Zach Lesage, my good friend, who did throw Wonder Lab in here. Other than that, it's kind of the typical Joshua Sutherland Luke Metal list with the 4 tag calls, 2 Syndicate, 2 Malolana, 2 Goosehala. With, of course, the 3 coding and the 2 capture energies. Typically, this list might run like double swell. Really, to me, this is how you played Luke Metal. And I think the only things that you could potentially change right now are probably going to be those stadium cards, depending on what the metagame looks like. Welder isn't super popular. I know a Welder deck did win this tournament, but Welder isn't actually that popular overall in the metagame right now, so swell just isn't too needed. And people like Zach have been playing Wondrous Lab and Power Plant to kind of help a little bit more so with other matchups because it's, Welder is Welder, and it's not too popular right now. But 4 Zacian, 2 Lick Metal, 2 Zam, all exactly how I think this list should be. 3 Goggles, 2 Cape of Toughness, all good stuff as well. So, I mean, here it is. This is Luke Metal. This is what I played to win my to qualify for Players Cup. This is what I played most of my keys with, and my rep per key average was extremely high with Luke Metal. It's such a good list. It really is. And if you know how to play it correctly, if you have the patience, and you kind of can understand some matchups, not saying that I'm a pro with Luke Metal, but I know watching other people specifically that if you play this deck correctly, your matchup spread is so phenomenal, and you always have the option to win the game. There's never a game that you can't win with Luke Metal, so it's a very, very good deck. No surprise that we had multiple Luke Metals here in top 16. So shout out to enosoycarly, I think is how his name is. We have Melvin L. So Melvin L from Malaysia, and he was playing Rillaboom Mewtwo. We actually had 3 Rillaboom decks, so Grass is good right now. Let's go. I love Grass decks. They're my favorite decks. And we had 1 straight Eggrow Rillaboom, and the other ones were the other 2 were Mewtwo Rillabooms. And this was the kind of the first one that we'll take a look at today. So this is a Mewtwo. It's a Mewtwo deck, but it's Grass Mewtwo. And it very much does have a focus around Eggrow as the main attacker here. It's what we're using most of the time. But when we have Mewtwo in here, we can utilize other GX attackers, things like Incineroar GX, Dragonite GX, Pheromosa Buzzwole GX, and Vileplume GX, which are all very, very good attackers in the game right now. And Mewtwo can utilize all of them pretty correctly. But yeah, I mean, I'm not super experienced with this deck. It's not a deck that I actually play a whole lot. But for me, a couple things do stand out, and that would be the 1 Tool Jammer. It would be maybe the Chaotic Swell and the Wonder Lab. So it's just interesting to see those in there. I do like the 10 Grass, 2 Capture, 2 Weak Guards, so 14 in total. All good things. I like the Tag Call engine. It's honestly an extremely similar list to the last, to other Mewtwo decks that we've seen. But the main strategy with this deck, if you haven't seen it or played against it, is going to be you're going to want to get that Super Growth out attack on your first turn going second. Preferably, we're going to get a Rillaboom set up immediately, and of course attaching to Eggrow in the process, so that next turn we can have that 4 energies start attacking with, or the 3 energies, so we can start attacking with, Calming Hurricane, and then potentially, maybe just Elegant Soul for 190. We have, Incineroar GX if they hit you to come back. But on that second turn, or on that third turn, I guess perhaps, we have the Tropical Hour GX attack. We also have Sky Judgment from Dragonite. So really, we just hope to live maybe 2 or 3 turns, and then we have so many great attacking options, including that GX attack from Eggrow, to really kind of sway this matchup in your favor, whatever you might be playing. So it's a very, very good deck. It might even be the best way to play Mewtwo right now. Honestly, there's a lot of ways to play Mewtwo. I think that discussion's a little bit up in the air. Let me know in the comment section below, which Mewtwo deck do you think is the best? I think that Eggrow has a serious, discussion. It's a contender for the best Mewtwo deck for sure. And I don't really have anything else to say about this deck right now. It's very good. Very, very good. All right. Moving on. Sorry about that. Okay. Next up, we have our highest placing Rapid Strike Urshifu of the tournament, and that is Alex Douglas from Brazil. So he was 10th in the tournament, so our highest placing Urshifu was 10th. Out of 308, though, definitely not very bad at all. And this is a very similar list to the last one that we saw. A few differences, though, that I would like to point out. And that is, of course, that we are running a Mewtwo in this list and 1 less Jirachi So that's kind of a little bit of a different Pokemon lineup there, but for the most part, almost exactly the same. Mewtwo is going to be used to get our supporters back from the discard pile. Just kind of an extra consistency card, probably mainly used for boss because it kind of has that similar Eldegoss effect, where we can play down Mewtwo, put the supporter on the top of our deck, and then Jirachi it into our hand. Very good combo for mid to late game to get that last boss's orders that we need. But other than that, everything is the same except for, and I do want to note that there are 3 switch and 1 escape rope instead of 4 switch. I do think escape rope has its merits, can be a phenomenal card. And I do think that it definitely makes a lot of sense to be running it in this deck. And on top of that, we have 1 karate belt, and when typically the last couple lists we saw weren't running karate belt. And this list isn't running Tool Scrapper, so it looks like he removed Scrapper for Karate Belt. And I think Karate Belt is very good. I think that if you're behind on prize cards, G-Max Rapid Flowing for just 1 Rapid Strike energy is really, really good. So it's just a single attachment for that second attack on Rapid Strike Urshifu if you're behind on prize cards. Matched up with Martial Arts Dojo, the deck can be absolutely insane. And I do think that this Karate Belt is going to be really, really good. When Rahul won our tournament a while back with Rapid Strike Urshifu, he was running Tool Scrapper, Karate Belt, things like that really kind of, people weren't doing too much in Rapid Strike Urshifu, kind of made it more mainstream. And I do like Karate Belt a lot. I don't think it make or breaks the deck, but it can be really clutch in some scenarios. So yeah, I mean, here it is. Again, maybe just more of like a slightly different version. It did place better than the other 2. So it's a little bit less standard in terms of a Rapid Strike Urshifu list, but phenomenal nonetheless, and still very similar to the last one that we saw. All right, sorry about that. Someone called me. I had to answer it. Sorry. I apologize. All right, getting back into it. Shout out to Alex Douglas, 10th in the tournament. Next up, we have another player actually from Taiwan, which is really cool. We don't actually typically get a lot of Asian players in our tournament, mainly because of the time zone differences. But we actually had a lot this week, and it actually means a lot to me. So not only do we have a couple Taiwan people, people from Taiwan on this list, we have a couple Japanese people as well. So that's super cool. Shout out to Red Hoon 9, 9th in the tournament. Again, if I'm just butchering your guys' names, I apologize. But he was playing Cinderace VMAX, and I've been telling my friends for a while now, they don't take me seriously. I've been saying that Cinderace is definitely a pretty viable option right now as a as a fire deck in this format, because fire is inherently good. It just becomes down to, like, you know, is it better? We have Sendascorch, we have Victini now, and Victini was kind of up in the air. But in terms of welder lists, I do think that Cinderace has a lot of merit. So let's take a look at this Cinderace list. I'm actually really excited to go and take a look at it. For those of you who don't know, Cinderace kind of has the outrage type attack where it's 30 plus, more damage counters for how much damage is on your Pokemon. So if they hit you for 170, you can come back for 2 energy and hit for 200. So that's kind of how Cinderace's attack works. The next one is 170 with an extra sort of thing onto it. So it's 170 and then it burns, which is actually kind of cool. But anyway, let's pull this back up. But anyway, I'm running a 3-2 Cinderace lineup. So very similar kind of structure to this list as we saw to the Victini list, right? So realistically, it's pretty much what we were running in that Victini list that we'll take a look at in a bit, with that Rapidash, with the Heatran GX, Reshiram and Charizard GX, and then of course, you know, a couple other tech attackers in here, which is super cool. I mean, Rapidash goes perfectly in Welder decks for that 2 colorless energy, bring your opponent's Pokemon down to 100 HP, which is just super good in general. So I really like throwing Rapidash in lists like this. When we take a look later at the list that won the tournament, you guys will understand that a little bit more too. Kind of fits a bit more clearly with Victini, but super exciting to see it in the Cinderace list and seeing success. I do really like Cinderace as a card and as a potential deck. No Jirachi Scoop on that engine here, but we are running 2 Volcanions as a very good starting option, and 2 Dedenne GXs, 1 Crobat, 1 Oricorio as kind of our draw consistency there. We do have a double in here, which is actually really funny because it is, of course, honestly, a really, really good attacking Pokemon. And with 3 colorless energy and its attack cost, fits very well in Welder decks. We also have an Eldegoss in here, so keep that in mind. And then we have a Marshadow and a Mew. Marshadow probably to get rid of these Chaotic Swells, kind of make room for our Giant Hearts. And then a Mew in here to protect our bench Pokemon from things like Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX. But again, I really like the combination of running Galarian Rapidash with these sort of, big sort of VMAX Welder decks, because it just makes sense to me, and it goes very, very well in a lot of lists. And of course, the Heatran GX, Reshiram and GX, these are both probably the best Fire-type GX attacks in the game, so it makes sense that we're kind of running them in there. I love it. I just love how this list was built. 4 Welder, 3 Boss, 1 Skyla. So the supporter lineup is actually pretty funny as well. I do like 4 Welder, 3 Boss. The Skylight to me is really, really funny, but can be super good, I guess, in some scenarios. 4 Quick Ball, 2 Pokecom, 2 Cherish Balls. So that's our Pokemon search for the deck. Plenty of it. Plenty of consistency there. 1 Air Balloon, because, I mean, most of our Pokemon do have a retreat cost of 2, except for these big boys here. And then, of course, we've got 3 switch cards on top of that. So those are our switching options. I like the double reset stamp in here as well with 2 Fire Crystal. Both cards that are going to be really good, you know, late game. I kind of give this deck a little bit more, stamina, I guess, for the late game. Make it a little bit more survivable and playable later into the game, which I do like. The 2 Pokegears, again, more consistency to find those. That's 8 supporter cards in our deck. And then we have a great catcher as well. 12 energies, 3 giant hearts. I mean, I love this list. I really do. It's super, super cool. I think that there's actually a lot of room for Cinderace right now in our format to be pretty good. And I mean, I'm not saying it's better than Victini, but I'm saying that Cinderace is really, really good, and it should be kind of taken seriously, especially with the Nucleary and Rapidash V thrown in here. This card is just absolutely insane. Going to see a whole lot of play. Already has seen a whole lot of play and a lot of success, so definitely really like to see it. I mean, this deck probably deserves its own video, and I probably will do a Cinderace video at some point here, but nonetheless, very, very cool list. Awesome list. I would have liked to see it in top 8, but no hate on Red Hun there. Made 9th in the tournament with Cinderace. 308 people, and Cinderace got 9th place, so awesome to see. Big shout out to you, my dude. Next up, we've got Puninko, I think, maybe. I don't know. We're getting into top 8 now, though, from Japan, playing ADP. This was our only ADP in top 16, so let's take a look at his ADP list. Yeah, I mean, we'll see that it's just straight consistency ADP. However, though, we are running a Zamazenta here instead of a 4th Zacian. I find that to be very interesting. I do. But is it necessary? I don't know. I really have no idea. There were a lot of VMAX decks, though, that went pretty far. That Zamazenta could potentially help in your E-turn matchup. I'm not sure exactly. But other than that, it's just straight max consistency ADP with the 3 E-switch, 2 spinners, no hammers, you know, two stamps, actually. So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but ADP typically doesn't play reset stamp. Our boy over here has got 2 of them, which is just really funny. 4 Quick Ball, 3 Cherish Ball. So, he kind of cut a couple cards for those stamps. Like, I believe he cut maybe a Cherish Ball and an E-switch. Might have been what he cut there. Maybe a Swell, probably not. I don't know. But yeah, interesting nonetheless. This was the ADP that placed the highest in the tournament. ADP's always been one of those decks that, you know, the core fundamental sort of play style with ADP has been the same for every ADP deck. So like, really, it just comes down to how you're kind of facilitating yourself getting to that point. So, you know, we see a lot of different ADP lists do well. It's because it's ADP, and inherently Arceus, Dialga, Palkia, GX, and Zacian is incredibly good, and no matter which way you slice it, it's probably going to see success. But I do like this list. I'm not an ADP expert, so I really want your guys' opinion. Zamazenta and Reset Stamp in ADP, go. Let me know. Is it good? I don't know. I mean, it got top 8 at our tournament, so probably pretty good. I mean, the player himself, Puninko, is probably a pretty good player, but, you know, let me know what you think of his list. So, shout out to this dude. Shout out to Japan, by the way. All great players at Japan. They've been absolutely murdering Chill Series recently. Next up, we have Logan Mckay, one of the highest-ranked players right now on Trainer Hill in terms of just total points in the online scene right now. Has consistently placed very well, and consistently placed well at Chill Series and GG Tour tournaments as well. So, obviously, you know, a great player, one of my good friends. Shout out to Logan from Canada, playing Luke Metal, our highest placing Luke Metal of the entire tournament. Luke Metal was one of our most played decks, by the way. And here it is. So you'll notice that this is actually the exact same Luke Metal that what we saw before. Instead of the Wonder Lab, he's running 1 Swell, 1 Power Plant. And I think that this is probably the more normalized version of Luke Metal. Again, you're literally just changing 1 card, but a lot of people kind of, you know, will feel pretty strongly about you changing 1 card of a list like this. But again, I think it's just the old Joshua Sutherland special. Tag Call, Engine, Luke Metal, one of the best decks in the game right now. And again, this is what I played for Players Cup. That's kind of just what I can say. I have played Luke Metal quite a bit recently, and I did really feel that the deck was really good. It did win Chill Series a little while ago, consistently beginning top 8s at Chill. So, you know, I do think it's a really good deck, and Logan is a very good player. Again, I mean, like I said before, the only things that people really change with this list are the stadiums, so you can kind of take a little bit of, you know, kind of, you can do what you want with those couple stadium cards in the deck, but keep that 58 card skeleton because it really is, in my opinion, the best way to play Luke Metal. No disrespect to Jake Gearhart in his Pokegears version, but I think that this is it right here, and I really do think Luke Metal is phenomenal. So big shout out to Logan. Congrats, my dude. Another great placement for Logan. I love to see it. Next up, we have Maddie Engel. Maddie Engel, I think. 6th in the tournament, Argentina, and this is going to be a good one here. And I love when these decks make it far into the tournament because we don't typically see kind of control sort of Altaria Desi pop up a whole lot. This was an Altaria deck. We have a 4-3 Altaria lineup, so that is kind of the basis behind this deck. Altaria is really good right now. It just, for some reason, is seeing a lot of play. I mean, this is, yeah, I mean, here it is. I don't know exactly what else to say about it. Similar to Decidueye, it's a deck that if you're not teching for it or if you hit matchups that they're not prepared to play you, you're just going to win, and that's kind of how this deck goes. But other than Altaria, we have 2 Gormandized Snorlaxes to draw cards for us consistently to get that Altaria set up early. We have a Kangaskhan, which is a really good single prize attacking option for those twin energies, so that's pretty cool. We have a Munchlax there for Snack Search to shuffle some of these trainer cards back into our hand, I believe, or is it into our deck? I think it's back into our hand, which is going to be really, really good for sure. And we have a Mew to protect our bench. So that's it. I mean, realistically, we're going to want to put down a couple Altarias probably, but not bench too many things to where they don't have to even, we want to force them to go through Altaria, right? To take their prize cards. I like the 4 Birdkeeper as well. 3 Marnie, 2 Syncate, 2 Boss, 1 Malolana, 1 Skyla. It's just kind of like a control type deck. I mean, if you guys have seen Decidueye in the past, this is kind of a very similar of a play style, kind of a similar of a win condition, except we're just doing it a different way by utilizing Altaria other than Decidueye. I don't think there's anything here that's like super crazy to me. It's literally just sort of like a, like it's just an Altaria deck. I'd like the 4 Crushing Hammers and the 3 Dolls. Palpad, Ordinary Rod, 2 Big Charms, and Big Parasol I think is pretty interesting as well. But the 4 Powerful Energies, 4 Twin Energies, 3 Capture Energies, kind of just building what you would typically want to build for a wall type Altaria deck, except just doing it as consistently as you possibly can. This is something to look out for. It really is, because it's a deck that if you're not preparing to beat this deck, you just won't be able to beat this deck. And that's a very powerful thing, right? Let me know in the comment section below, though. Would you prefer to run a deck like this with Altaria, or are you more of a Decidueye guy, Decidueye Goons type guy? Let me know. Both similar decks in sort of their win conditions and their matchup spreads, but, just let me know. But awesome to see this deck go so far at Chill Series and to do so well, make top 8. It's a very good contender, and people need to watch out for Altaria. It's super, super good. Shout out to Maddie Engel. Awesome stuff. Next up, we've got a couple more Rillaboom decks, a couple more Mewtwo decks. We've got Super Gag Smiley Face. I don't know about that name there. He's from Thailand, though. 5th in the tournament. Now, this is going to be just a straight aggro. This is just literally, although he does have 1 Mewtwo. Okay, so I was wrong. Limitless. Let's just say Limitless was wrong there. Just kidding. Shout out to them. Yeah, I mean, it's less of a focus on the Mewtwo, right? And more of a focus on just kind of being a straight aggro deck. But we do have a Pheromosa Buzzwole. I mean, we would play that anyway, even without Mewtwo. But we have 2 doubles in here. And typically, you don't see the doubles unless it's more of a straight aggro deck, because, of course, Mewtwo doesn't utilize double. They're very much independent of each other. So for that reason, it is more of a straight aggro deck with just 1 Mewtwo thrown in there, which I find interesting. But everything else here is pretty much the same. So I really would categorize this deck as the same thing as the other decks, instead of just taking more of a Mewtwo focus. It's more of just a straight aggro double focus, which I think both have their merits. I think double can be phenomenal, and especially in a deck like this, it can be even better in some scenarios than Mewtwo, but interesting nonetheless. Again, I do kind of categorize these decks to be the same thing, but if you're interested in that aggro Mewtwo, Grass Mewtwo sort of deck list, this could be another sort of way to go about doing it. And I know that 76ers might be watching this. 76ers is somebody who plays in our tournaments all the time, plays aggro, plays grass, and he's a phenomenal player. But, the main thing here is that, there's 2 different ways to play aggro. You can go with the Mewtwo, you can go with the straight grass double version. But they're both very good, and both have similar play styles, different advantages. So here it is. Here's just another kind of version of it. Again, not a deck that I know too much about, but hopefully that was a little bit of an insight. And yeah, okay. We have another one, though, and this one is Matthew Chow. got 4th in the tournament, actually. So this dude made top 4. And his was, I think, the exact same as the last list that we saw. I believe he's running less energies in his list, and I think he might be running an extra Grookey. And I think he's got a, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's different specifically. But anyway, very similar to that last, Mewtwo Egg Rail list that we saw. So like I said, compared to the last one that we just looked at, the only differences here is instead of 2 doubles, 1 Mewtwo, it's 2 Mewtwo, 1 double, I think, pretty much. And we also have a Vileplume thrown in here. So very, very similar, in a deck list that hasn't really been cracked open and confirmed as much as things like a Luke Metal has, where everyone's playing the same exact 58 cards. Egg Rail is a deck that people still haven't exactly decided what the best way to play it is, and that's probably because it changes, realistically, from time to time. Both have their merits. It is interesting to note, though, that we had 3 of these Egg Rail Mewtwo lists in top 16, and multiple of them in top 8, so very, very good deck. Something to take very seriously when going into our format right now. Grass is good. Mewtwo decks are good. When you put them together, they're definitely pretty good. So a very fun list to play. I know Logan Mckay, who we just looked at, when I talked to him personally, he's very high on Egg Rail. Thinks it's very good, and I agree with that. I think it's a very, very good list. A big reason probably why we had multiple of them in top 8. But yeah, here it is. Here it is. I don't want to spend too much time on this list because it's the third time that we've taken a look at an Egg Rail list in this video. But there it is. Shout out to Matthew Chow. Tommy B89 got 3rd in our tournament from US, playing Psychic Mewtwo. So Psychic Mewtwo's back. We did take a look at one earlier, but this one got did very well in the tournament. Now, very similar to the last one that we saw, except this one isn't running... what's different about this list? I'm just trying to... I mean, he's running Greninja GX instead of the Solgaleo and Lunala GX, which I do kind of agree with. I think that Greninja can be very good. Of course, beats Altaria, so that's a good one to kind of keep in mind now that Altaria is really popular, I guess, for some reason. Now we have Greninja GX is that tech for Mewtwo decks to make sure that we can go through those wall decks. So going to be really, really good for sure. But yeah, I mean, everything else here is pretty normal. It's Psychic Mewtwo. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this, and I apologize to Tommy B. But your list is awesome. I really like it. Shout out to that Greninja tech. Hopefully it worked out for you. It was definitely smart in my opinion. So shout out to you, my man. Shout out to you. I like this list a lot. And when I play it, I play Greninja, so I agree with you. Anyway, next up, we have Averin Jr. Villarreal. 2nd in the tournament, did make finals. And again, guys, I want to recommend that you guys go watch that grand finals match. Posted it yesterday. It's got over 2,000 views already, so thank you so much. It's a great match. Very, very good match. I highly recommend watching it. But Averin Jr. here was playing E-Turn VMAX. So we had another E-Turn make finals. Got 2nd, of course. And again, this is very similar to the last E-Turn list that we took a look at. We have the Phoebe in here. We have the Hammers thrown in here. The Pokemon lineup's all pretty standard. The 3 Power Plants instead of 2 even. But a couple things to note is we do have a Palpad in here to shuffle that Phoebe back into our deck. Personally, I feel like just running 2 Phoebes is better than Phoebe Palpad. That's just me. I'm probably wrong, so I apologize for that. And Dangerous Drill is a very interesting card as well. Because we can use it to remove tool cards. So it's in there in place of Tool Jammer, which is interesting. Is it better than Tool Jammer? I don't know. But either way, E-Turn, very, very, very good. Still one of the best decks in our format, and this is just how people are playing E-Turn, and it's similar to the last one that we saw, but I don't really have too much else to say about it. It's E-Turn VMAX, very, very, very good. So here it is. Here it is, guys. All right. Anyway, and then first up we have Koichi Kimura, and we're actually not going to take a look at his list, because we're going to cover his list in depth in tomorrow's video. The winner gets their own video. That's how we roll here on the Chill TCG channel. But, guys, thank you so much for watching. I've been Maddie from Chill TCG. I love making these videos every week. I love running these tournaments every week, and hopefully you guys enjoy playing in them. A lot of great lists this week. I really do enjoy running these tournaments, seeing all the awesome lists that you guys bring. This week was no different. Lots of awesome lists, so very, very, very cool. And thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for playing. Shout out to PTCGO Zone for sponsoring us in our tournaments. It means a lot to me. And yeah, tune in tomorrow for that deck list video on Victini Rapidash, which was the deck that won. Spoiler alert. Anyway, watch the grand finals match. I'm going to get out of here. Subscribe, like the video, become a channel member. Yeah, all right. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Goodbye.